There we go.
Okay. So the Sabian symbol for the full moon in Cancer at 24 degrees. That's a woman and two men on a bit of sunlit land facing south. And the idea is a woman and two men is there's the three aspects of being, which is one woman is the emotional, and the two men, one is intelligence, and the other is spiritual. I mean, when I look at it, sometimes that's debatable, but it's about the feminine and the masculine. And it's the mind makes all the patterns up, and the emotional is drawn to relationship, which takes a bit longer than the mind. And it's finding that harmony. But the ideal is the spiritual to develop faith, which is faith is one step beyond knowledge. So having faith in my actions or my spiritual beliefs. And faith resolves, but it's not a blind faith. And trust is the exemplar of harmony. So I noticed my Venus and Mars are conjunct, and it tells me that I like harmonious relationships. And then the other thing I noticed that today I was playing with my fortune, part of fortune symbol, which is the mathematical between the sun, the moon, and the ascendant, that point. And today fortune is at 2633 Sagittarius, which is 27-degree galactic center. So that's where part of fortune is. So I said, well, I'm going to buy a Set for Life scratch ticket. And I got a free play. I go, oh, that's cool. So I took it in and traded it for another one. And I've always wondered, they have 6 games to play on this scratch ticket. And I said, I've always wondered if you can win 2 games or if there's only one win on a ticket. So I scratch and I win $20. I go, oh, okay. And I go to the next one and scratch and I win another $20. I go, oh, what I wondered about came true. So I received in my part of fortune at the Galactic Center $40. So thank you, part of
Very
fortune.
Oh,
So
You should be
that's
wearing your Galactic Center t-shirt then.
yeah, right.
Oh, that's great.
So that was fun. And what else? I guess Neptune is going direct now, so we're really headed towards the 0 point. And I don't know much about the North Node. Will be the next thing I want to study would be that it's moved into Pisces, so it's right now moving conjunct with Neptune. And on the 19th, which is the sun moves into Aquarius, the part of fortune will be situated right at 27-degree Neptune on the 19th.
maybe we should try to play again.
Yeah, on that. Yeah, maybe that's the big winner.
Yeah,
when
but
it's
bigger one.
when it's conjunct with Neptune.
Mm.
But I'm noticing this 27-degree, the galactic center, that the part of fortune is there today. And it's also Mars is at 27 degrees and Neptune's at 27 degrees. So there's a lot of trine going on there.
Yeah, wow.
And the last thing is this fortune is conjunct with the descendant. And I'm filling out a death form to send off. And I've never seen it used before, but they call I've always heard it as the deceased, but they have on the form, it's called the descendant. I go, okay. Part of fortune at the descendant, and I'm filling out forms for the descendant.
Mhm.
I just felt a bit of synchronicity there. And that's my discoveries for today. I like the harmonious relationship idea.
I'm distracted for the moment.
Yeah, Dwayne's working on something there.
Yeah, it's Billy Ross, the father of my grandchildren, would like to join us, but we've got to get him in different than through Facebook and the link.
Oh, okay.
I'm just trying to engineer that. So carry on.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I feel completed on that I've discovered for today, for the full moon.
I was saying that I'd spent the last week at my son's and he's on a little piece of property, surrounded by trees and such, but a great clear opening of the sky and such a clear vision of the moon and the stars, and it was just quite glorious. Because there's a hot tub and I could float in that and look up at the sky and
Whoa.
soak it all in, and it was lovely. Yeah. 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 And then arrived home last night to have another clear vision of everything. And then I listened to the whole Sabian symbol video, and it was so perfect because I'd been with some people earlier in the day, and just the different dynamics. I felt like I'd done well at finding that harmony, and another step along in the journey of learning.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
and we'll keep working on continuing that way. So.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the Sabian symbols
Mhm.
to discover those. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of learning in them.
I'd never heard of them before, but each time it's been so right on with what's been happening in my life. So
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah, so I checked out my part of fortune where that's located in my chart,
Mhm.
and it's at Virgo 8 degree. So then I look up my Sabian symbol to go with that.
Okay.
And it's like a 5-year-old learning to dance.
Mm.
And that's about apprenticeship and learning. And I go, oh, yeah, it's part of fortune, apprenticeship. I'm learning about puppets. So it kind of ties together.
Yes.
Where's your puppet? Did you do some videos already with the
Well, I found
puppet?
out that I can record on Zoom and then Zoom will download it.
All right.
I did a run just trying to find the movement without speaking. So I've got a presentation on the meditation I want to
Mhm.
create. So I haven't got a final, but I found out how to do it easily without trying to hold a phone or set up a phone.
Yeah.
Just let Zoom do it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
The puppet's right here.
Oh,
This,
here he is. Yeah.
There's Bhante.
Mhm.
Great eyes.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's all I had to paint was the eyes, because when I saw the grain,
Yeah, and the wood also has nice
he's very simple,
the wood also has kind of nice
nice grain.
designs already, yeah.
So
It
he's a very simple monk. All he needed was the eyes.
But the mouth is nice too, and the nose. I
The
think
whole
it's
shape
well.
of him is really quite something. It's
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a nice monk. Looks
Yeah,
like a
he's a
friendly
nice
one,
monk.
a very friendly one who was already far on his path.
Yeah.
So when you take him out, you'll be verbalizing and conversing with him, or
Well, it
Making
depends on what
sense?
I want to do with him. Like I took him to my chiropractor. That's where I kind of introduce everybody because of the first one I did, and the children saw it, and so
Mhm.
and uh, the woman at the desk, she likes to see my finished puppet. So I brought in Ante, and yeah, it all depends on the situation. Like she'll take a photo and wants to put it up on their site that this puppet visited.
Yeah, you
And
should do a show there, a little show with kids who are sort of waiting.
yeah, in the
That
waiting room,
like
yeah,
once a week or so would be
yeah,
so cool, or once a month. So that would be like a nice way to keep the kids also wanting to go there and not
yeah,
being too much oh, what's happening? I'm just gonna play. It's more playful. I think you do
yeah,
a good job for kids there this way.
yeah. Well, I have the one angel, and
Uh-huh.
they can use that and talk to
Yeah, or
their
both
angel.
of them. You can have both hands. Like my grandfather, he was a puppet player, and he
Hmm.
would always have like two puppets talking to each other. And then they would talk to him. And if I wanted to talk to him, it wasn't possible. I had to talk to these puppets.
Right.
Talk to him. I was
Yeah.
always like,
The,
ah.
my 5 year
Oh,
old learning to dance. I guess my inner child is learning to be a puppeteer.
yeah, it's
That's
very
another.
important.
That's a whole nother step. I thought I was just going to be carving wood, but I'm carving wood and making costumes, and now suddenly I'm on stage.
national television.
Right. Yeah.
You
On
have to have the
on,
show going.
on
You
Steve
have to know
TV.
what to do. That's great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of support in the puppet group as well.
Yeah.
And but it's like while I was having my treatment, uh, the woman took a photo with holding this a book that's kind of the same color as Bonte's robe,
Hmm.
and she was wondering if she could use it like to promote on their site. And I said, monks are into promoting products, so I can't do that. So there's like boundary, and that leads us to Janice. I mean, not Janice, but to Acker.
Right.
You shared that, Dwayne, about Acker. He's the boundary Egyptian guy, the boundary worker. So I felt I had to create a boundary there, and yeah, then I know that we've been working with Acker and Janus. So then I looked up Janus. Oh, Janus, the god of change, and that's where I feel that with the 0 point, that's definitely change from endings to new beginnings. And that's just seems to be a theme for me.
There'll be more about Acker in my presentation today. So.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm excited to hear about that.
Joanne, I had asked her if she would read some of the texts, but she wasn't able to come today. And she assured me that there would be somebody in the group would step up. And
Who did you ask?
Joanne,
Oh, to read the. Oh, she had quite a reading last time.
yeah. Well, she was quite willing to do that, but she's had to. She's elsewhere for it.
Mm.
So,
Well, I've heard there's a poem in it, so I can do that part.
oh, great. Yeah, because I did send you a piece that I'd like you to share. We'll just play it.
Will you be putting it up so I can read it, or do I have to
Yeah.
find it?
Yeah, it'll be up.
Okay, good. Yeah, I can read that.
We want to go to the presentation now, or?
Yeah, I feel ready for it.
Girls, gals,
Yeah.
we're good.
I'm ready. And I know that my screen cover is usually part of your presentation, so I'm not sure about reading, but we'll see.
Okay, on my screen, I'm going to the upper right-hand corner and clicking the view,
Mhm.
and you have these choices.
Okay.
Right.
But what I'm going to do is limit it just to the speaker. No, that's not the one. Oh. Oh, and here comes Billy.
Oh, good.
Okay, I think that's going to work now. But yeah, here he comes.
The number 5.
He's working with a widescreen TV and I'm not sure what computer, so we may have troubles. Hello, Billy.
Oh, hey, I'm not working on I am not. Hey, everybody.
Hey, there he is.
Hello. There he
I'm not
is.
working on that. I'm working on a computer, and it was the kid's computer. I had to like do a bunch of stuff to try to. I actually ended up having to type the passcode in to here because I couldn't figure out how to change my emails, and I couldn't get Facebook hooked up because I don't know my passwords, and old man
There you
problem.
are.
There I
Fantastic.
am.
You're here. You have arrived.
Yes, I've arrived.
That's so great.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe let's just say hi, gals. Maybe let us.
Yeah. Okay.
Who
Hey
you are.
guys, I'm Billy. I am Dwayne's grandchildren's father, and I actually watched last week's video yesterday, and it is really funny how all the things that were happening in that section of that last moon really resonated with where my life was going and everything, all the changes that happened like that and the synchronicities that were going on. And I was just like, what the heck? And then the whole image at the end with the silent meditator. And that's, if you know anything about me, which you don't, I meditate a lot. I'm a part of a Buddhist recovery group. I'm also I'm starting to take school to be a spiritual life coach and a meditation practitioner. And like, I just kind of, all this stuff just came to me on like the 31st. I went to the Buddhist monastery and sat in silent meditation, asking for my soul's purpose. And literally the next day, spiritual life coach. And I'm like, okay, let's take this path. And yeah, it's just, all this is just speaking to me. So thank you for letting me be here. And yeah, I'm excited for this presentation, Dwayne.
Wow.
And nice to meet every one of you, Brenda, Steve.
And nice to meet you as
Barbara.
well.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Hi.
And I don't know if this is appropriate, but I feel like I'm looking at Dwayne's son.
I feel the same. He is my spiritual father.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's an honor indeed, really.
Thank you.
Yeah. Billy has the largest collection of Dwayne Rourke paintings in the world.
I do. I have the collection at my house. Yeah.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, it's not the large collection. It's like 3 or 4 pieces, but.
Wow, that's really a wonderful breakthrough, sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah, huge breakthrough. So this whole Neptune thing is like, I'm like, oh, this is exactly what's happening. Like, how is this
Yeah.
happening so easily?
Yeah.
And just by watching that, I was like, whoa, like, so now I'm like really intrigued in what you guys are doing here. So any education is good education, right?
Right. Well, you're showing the power of meditation.
Yeah, it's huge. It is huge.
It's so amazing. Like I did just before New Year's, I did a 3-day self course,
Yeah.
and it's just amazing when I think I've got all these things to do. But when I stop and I do that self course, suddenly I'm feels like I'm capable to do even more.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
It's
Amazing how that works.
Yeah, it's funny how this this life works. Sorry, I'm trying to get my head right here, but it's not working. Yeah, it's just being silent with yourself. That was the longest sit I ever did, was an hour and a half straight. And I was just, it felt like 45 minutes, but now I'm doing 25 minutes every day of silent plus my morning meditation, and the visualizations of my life and the things that are happening. It's just like, I'm baffled, but I'm actually excited as well. So it's a good step forward. I had a friend over yesterday, and we did a silent meditation together, and then we talked about our experience. So I've decided that I'm going to start bringing some small group of people into my house, and and just have a little small meditation group so we can deepen our practice and talk about our experience and talk about what's going on, and just kind of open that door to where I want to be in my future, and maybe help them get along with theirs as well.
Yeah, that's key to the experience.
Yeah.
And
And you live in Calgary, Steve?
Pardon me?
You live in Calgary?
No, I'm in Nanaimo.
Oh, you're in Nanaimo, because I thought in the last video you're making references to the Stampede or something, and I was like, oh, he must live in Calgary.
I think I lived in Calgary for 30 years.
Oh, okay.
And he had an experience with the Scarlet Woman, as I recall.
Oh yeah.
The dancing.
Oh yeah.
Oh right. Right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then I got the 5-year-old learning to dance.
Yeah.
So
and then I think everybody was attempting to have a little dance party at that time.
So my inner child was showing up, and now it's showing up again.
That's good. I think we should all walk with the inner child hand in hand. And that's how it should be, as far as I'm concerned. I do go and visit my inner child quite often, actually. It's that happy place for me, It's in the middle of the woods in a little shack. Like, I don't know where your inner child is, but that's where mine is. He hangs out in the woods.
Well, I had a partner who lived it every day. She embraced the concept of inner child, and I learned a lot.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to tap into, because it's playful and it's fun. And
yeah, it makes you feel young. It really does.
Yeah. That's my motto. If it ain't fun, I'm not doing
it. Me too.
That's great.
Okay.
So, like we did last week or last 2 weeks ago at New Moon, please feel free to step in during the presentation and with questions, with commentary, whatever. I found it was very rich last time, with more input as we're going through the process. Because all of this stuff that I'm putting out, I mean, you guys are getting at the first look. it's right out of the oven, and it's great to have that interaction at the outset. So, yeah, feel free.
So it's piping hot.
Piping hot. There you go. Now, we've got to share and Zoom call here. Okay. Are you guys seeing the front page?
Yes.
Yes.
Inside the Sphinx's gaze.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, great. Here we go.
The door is opening.
When the human race learns to read the language of symbolism, a great veil will fall from the eyes of men. A quote from Manly P. Hall. I don't know if you are familiar with his work, but he produced this very large book called The Secret Teachings of All the Ages. And I think that's his claim to fame, is that particular book, which I have in my collection. It's quite the tome. And it just bolsters my sense of how important symbolism is and how astrology is such a fantastic symbolic language. I feel like it allows us to tap into this global heritage of consciousness that is, we find it in the language of astrology. Other disciplines as well, but astrology especially is a symbolic language, and it takes us back into the ancient records, and it's our way of connecting with the ancients, as far as I'm concerned. And amongst the monuments on the planet that have endured, the Sphinx is surely one of the very oldest and most mysterious. And for years, I've been fascinated, not so much with the gazing at the Sphinx and checking it out from stem to stern, but rather interested in what is the Sphinx gazing at. And over time, I've come across different authors who've kind of tackled it from that point of view. And it's been very much a steady beacon in my consciousness. And it's become really central in these last couple of years because of the fact of Neptune coming over the Zero Aries degree of the zodiac, which is what the Sphinx is staring at. So the Great Sphinx of Giza is a single limestone monolith carved into the bedrock of the Giza Plateau. The limestone outcropping was carved in place rather than being assembled from multiple pieces. That's a fundamental importance in looking at the function of the Sphinx. I mean, who were those people that cited the Sphinx? And how far back does it go? I mean, I feel certain that it's way past the conventional timing of, that it was carved at the same time as the Great Pyramid was erected. My sense is that it was much earlier, and it really, really takes us back. But it's all open to investigation. Nobody really knows. So looking at the zodiac, and we see the vertical line here in the center is the Sphinx's gaze. Neptune is currently moving through Pisces, completing its journey through Pisces and heading into Aries at the end of March. And it'll do a little dance with this central axis over the next year. So it is going into Aries, but it's going to also then retrograde back into Pisces for at least one, if not two times. And then it will hit that day when no longer will it enter Pisces. It won't until the cycle comes around again. An excellent book on the Sphinx, The Message of the Sphinx by Graham Hancock and Robert Bauval. If you know either of those guys' works, you know that they've gone worldwide in their research, and they're really pulling the veil back. It's an amazing, and in this particular book, they really bring us into the orientation of the Sphinx's gaze, and I'm very grateful for their work. So here we have the Sphinx indicated, and then this triangle comes in to flesh out the part of the gaze of the Sphinx is that there's a summer solstice point to the left and a winter solstice point to the right. So this is kind of the oscillation that the sun is engaged in with reference to the Sphinx. At its extremity on either side, it goes to 28 degrees from center. So this is the ongoing, forever oscillating point on the horizon that the Sphinx gazes at. And so I'm saying this is a very significant zone for our attention. And one of the things I've done is go into other people's birth charts and find out what planets do they have in this red zone, as I've called it. I've also called it the hot zone, because this is where the action is, as far as I'm concerned. So I made up this drawing. This has helped me plot some of the different planetary placements of particular people. And as I'm putting all this together, I'm encountering this mythological figure from Egypt known as Aker, Steve mentioned earlier. So here at the bottom, we have a depiction of Aker. And much to my glee, we have a red circle. So this whole notion of the hot zone or the red zone, it has kind of an ancient heritage, let's say. And it's really great to be working that into our day-to-day. So, as I say, the red zone, the hot zone, what are we looking at in this span? And you can see I've written in a few names here, and I've got symbols with each one. So let's just start exploring, at this particularly momentous time, and on the world stage, we're having great drama, which I think is all related to this whole notion of we're moving from one dream of humanity to a new dream of humanity. That's really what this nexus point is about. That's what Neptune is our collective vision. So it periodically changes. It undergoes complete transformation. And we're in the transformation zone now. And I'm thinking that by finding these pinpoints of reference of people all over the world, the exemplars that I'm pulling up here are cast throughout the world. So they're like the ancestors are guiding us into paying attention to what these people might have to offer. That's kind of the way I'm relating to it. So one by one, we'll go into different people's symbolism and see how it might relate to our own experience. So I never knew about Aker before, but it was right around the same time that Steve and I were doing some comparison with our charts and the derivatives, which is one of the derivatives is associated with the I Ching and with it's called the lunation birthday. Well, it turns out that of all of the birthdays that are possible in the complete circle of the zodiac, Steve and I both ended up with the same lunation birthday, to within a degree or two. So this was really quite fun to discover. And we were kind of like, we're back to back on something here. And out of the the mystery of the whole journey comes this Aker figure. And so the graphic at the bottom here, we see the two hornblowers. That would be Steve and I. Our mission is to announce and to draw your attention to this phenomena, this astrological phenomena that is currently underway. So this is the poem that ChatGPT generated upon my request, and Steve, this would be your moment.
Okay, I'll zero in on it here. First, I'll give it a bugle horn. Doo, 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 doo. Guardians of the threshold. At dawn and dusk where shadows blend, Acher and Janus stand, my friend, in Egypt's sands and Rome's grand past. Two faces watch, the die is cast. Acher, lion of the night and day, guards the sun on its celestial way. East and west his eyes survey, the passage safe, the light's ballet. Janus, keeper of time's door, two faces gaze to evermore. Beginnings, endings, he presides. The threshold's guard, where change abides. Dual forms, they mark the line between the realms of day and time. Transitions watched with steadfast care, their presence felt both here and there. Acher's lions, Janus's gaze, protect the paths through life's maze. Cyclical, the dance of light, from dawn's first gleam to twilight's night. Guardians of the threshold's span, they guide the steps of every man. Through Egypt's sands and Rome's grand past, their ancient watch forever lasts.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the text that Joanne was going to read. I thought I had you guys all gathered up and not blocking, but that's happening for me. I can't see the text. So,
Well, I'm warmed up. I can do this page.
You got it? Oh, great.
The Neptune transit, a spiritual gateway. Neptune currently transiting over Pisces 30 degrees heralds a period of profound spiritual activation. This is a moment to refine your purpose, embrace clarity, and align fully with the values of compassion and universal love. It is also a time when the world looks to you for inspiration. Your words and actions during this transit hold transformative power, capable of reshaping the collective consciousness. Be aware that Neptune's influence can blur distinctions between truth and illusion. Stay anchored in your highest values and seek advisors who mirror your integrity. Use this time to clarify your legacy, what you wish to leave behind for humanity's spiritual evolution. Guidance for your leadership. Balance vision with action. Transform your spiritual ideals into pragmatic steps that others can follow. Embrace transparency. Communicate your vision clearly and openly to build trust and collective focus. Guard your inner flame. Protect your energy and well-being so that your sacred purpose remains strong. Serve as a healer. Use your leadership to mend divides, foster reconciliation, and remind the world of its interconnectedness. You can inspire humanity to reach beyond its current limitations and dream of a better future. May your flame burn ever bright, and may your actions leave a legacy of hope, love, and transformation. The world looks to you now, not just for leadership, but for inspiration. Trust in your path, where it is divinely guided. Thank you.
Thank you.
I see that inspiration shows up, and I discovered that the Latin word is inspere, which means to breathe into. So these steps we can, I feel, breathe into manifestation by being inspired. I just wanted to add that paragraph.
I really resonated with the balanced vision with action, because I'm really seeing my path and I'm acting on it on a daily basis right now. So that really spoke to me.
Yeah, yeah. Otherwise, that's just a dream.
That's right.
So
Feeling deeply moved by it all and completely resonate with it and very grateful for it. And for the first, I'm not sure, 16 or 17 years of my life, when I laid in bed at night, I gazed at the doorstop on my door, which was a Sphinx. Didn't know, in the younger years what it was, but it left
Wow.
such an imprint. And here we are now, and I could weep with gratitude and just just such a deep resonance with everything. So thank you, thank you. And my mom, who kept everything, the one thing she didn't keep was that doorstop. So
I was going to ask
where it went.
Wow.
Well, you're cheering me up a little bit, Brenda. Thanks.
Oh. And Dwayne, I can never share enough gratitude for what you have done and are doing. So thank you.
Thank you. I am so very grateful that you guys show up. I do think of it in terms of legacy, like if there's anything I'm to leave behind, I better get with it because the days are numbered.
You're making it to 100, old man. Don't worry.
We'll give it a shot.
Absolutely.
If I can do it, you can do it.
Right on.
So
Billy,
may
when
your
you talk,
flame burn ever bright.
Mm.
That really resonates.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole thing is just absolutely like just speaking like with power. So yeah, like I have tears in my eyes thinking about this whole thing. Like I could just sit in this all day.
and when
I
you
saw
talking,
George Bernard Shaw. Actually, I have a video of it being recited, and he talks about, I'm not just a mere candle in this life, I'm a torch.
Mm.
And I'm going to just live life to the fullest, because that's till it burns, just burn as a torch. And then he says to hand it off then to the next generation, which I see Billy shows up.
Quite willing.
Yeah, I guess so, eh? Yeah. Next generation. I am old though. Logan's the next generation, his grandson.
No? The torchbearer and passing it on.
Yeah. Oh, I see. I see. Yeah.
Many years ago, I wrote about the playground of potential joy. So a few of us accept as our heritage. And anyway, at Christmas, I was given a gift of some art classes, and part of it was a continuation of doing these resin pieces based on music. So I've just sort of been laying out pieces. And I don't know if you can see, this came to me, but it's kind of small. Oh, what a wonderful world. And there's the torchbearer. Anyway, there's so much in it that is about what we're talking about. They're not permanently put in place yet. I have to prepare the board, but yeah.
So it's like a vision board.
I guess the other ones, well, they were all
Or a
based on
visual.
different songs. And so you place them, and it's a fairly large piece. I think it's 16 by 16, and then eventually resin gets poured in, so they're permanently in there. But oh, what a wonderful world is what came to me, and every piece in there has meaning
Hmm.
from the key, and the has to do with a magic show, which was quite amazing. And on it, it says Hidden Wonders, Roswell Chapel in, is it in Scotland or in, anyway, that is a very significant ancient place. The Statue of Liberty holding the torch. Um, and this little piece, I lived up on that hill. There's a little part of a Christmas card in there to cover the writing, but I lived up on that hill. There's the cows on the bottom, but then with this view from up above. And Dwayne, you were there, I think. I think you came. The
I
place
do
on,
remember you.
we had a visit
Yeah,
up on the hill in Langley.
yeah.
Anyway, everything has a little, feels like it's tied in with what we're doing.
Yeah, you'll have to bring it when it's completed work
Okay.
and share. Yeah. Hang on. On to the next. Or,
I was just
Sorry,
going to share with,
I'm just going to write down one more thing, Dwayne.
yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead. You guys keep going.
and Billy, when you were talking about everything happening easily, again, it makes me think of when you came and set up the medicine wheel and people spoke, and the one lady shared her wisdom. It was row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. And then Michael Sanger, I think, who wrote Untethered Soul, he was moved, spiritually moved at a certain age, had no experience up till then, but he committed his whole life to surrendering and meditated regularly. And his two books, the unfolding of his life, like he just surrendered. And the
You're making
magic
me-
that came to
making
him
me-
was, pardon?
Yeah, I'm feeling this like power with your words right now, and I'm getting all emotional inside. So like, it is amazing, like to make that change, like where I was not so long ago, and where I'm at right now. It's like I just want to dive and just keep diving into it and making the world a better place. To be honest.
And you're giving me the shivers. So it's
Thank you.
all that good resonance.
Oh,
Mm.
this is a great group, guys.
Good to have you, Bill.
Thank you. Well, I'm happy to be here. Okay, I'm good, Dwayne. I wrote down what I needed.
Okay. On to the next.
Sure. Oh, I gotta move this thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, wow.
Mm.
Yellow submarine and the 0 point. They're lining up right with Barbara on my screen.
She's sitting closest to the Sphinx of all of us.
Mhm.
Not on my screen, but
Not on my screen.
And I have them up
Really at the-
above, going across, and it's just right in line with Barbara.
Yeah. Well, now I'm saying Barbara is located geographically, not all
Exactly.
that far from the Sphinx, and
Mhm.
Yeah,
in
we
the
have the sand coming from the Sphinx.
yes, yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
it's sandstorms all the time. And I was just looking out, and it's still sandy out there because
well,
then I can see the island in front of us, and it's like all dusty still.
So you get some of that limestone from the Sphinx comes over
Yes. Yeah.
the
And it's
land.
very fertile, a fertile soil, really.
mm.
And it goes all to South America,
Mhm.
crossing the ocean. So it comes closer to you guys.
So along with the images of Acker, we've also got a boat. And I think that's just kind of fun that our little submarine, which has been with us from the start and from the that day in 1986 when I saw the whole Mayan calendar connection. Now, this little boat has been part of my journey, and the ancients had their solar boats as well. So just all kind of mysterious how these images converge and diverge, and I really enjoy it. So Aker is an Egyptian deity symbolizing horizons, transitions, and balance, depicted as two back-to-back lions facing east and west. He protects the sun's journey through the underworld, ensures safe passage for the deceased, and represents duality, cosmic order, and the cyclical nature of time. So on that note, let's start exploring the red zone. What I've done is, as I say, I went through charts that I have over the years. I've got hundreds of them. And I've found representatives for this particular exploration. For example, we have David Hawkins and Sigmund Freud. Interestingly, these were both very prominent in the luminaries in psychology. It turns out that they both have Jupiter on the center line of our image here. So the center line being Pisces 30, Aries 0. So what are the chances that these two psychiatrists or psychologists, whatever, have exactly the same Jupiter placement? Freud was a groundbreaker. He really opened things up for psychoanalysis. Hawkins, who was more our age, he went from the psychological realm into the spiritual realm, and really provides a tremendous resource of his teachings have been consolidated and are available for purchase. People can really, he's got so much integrated into his work. It's quite a much vaster synthesis than Freud. But Freud was, really opening things up. So between the two of them, we've got quite a foundation of psychological orientation anyway. So David Hawkins was a psychiatrist, spiritual teacher, and author known for his work on consciousness, enlightenment, and spiritual growth. His central framework, the map of consciousness, quantifies human consciousness levels on a logarithmic scale from 1 to 1,000, where lower levels represent fear and ego, and higher levels reflect love, peace, and enlightenment. Hawkins emphasized truth, inner awareness, and surrender to the divine as pathways to higher consciousness. His key works, such as Power versus Force and Letting Go, explore the relationship between consciousness, human behavior, and spiritual evolution. His use of kinesiology is, in question, and there's a lot of people who are concerned about that. Personally, I have found that there's so much wrapped up in his overall teaching that I don't worry about how he developed this logarithmic scale. I go for his expressions of truth based on his own direct experience, which is vast. So just looking at the Jupiter factor, Jupiter symbolizes expansion, growth, optimism, and meaning, guiding the pursuit of truth, wisdom, and opportunity. It inspires faith, generosity, and adventure, while its shadow includes overindulgence, arrogance, and dogmatism. And I can't see what's under your faces. So, Steve, would you please pick it up from there?
Where it says Uranus.
I'm not sure. I can't see what's
There's
on.
Uranus, and then there's a paragraph on Sigmund Freud.
Yeah, maybe start with Freud.
Okay.
This was the thing is that they both have Jupiter at Pisces 30, but Hawkins also has Uranus. I don't know if it's exactly conjunct there or a couple of degrees off.
Oh, wow.
Freud and he both laid foundations. He blew the lid off and brought in the whole Uranian impulse.
So Sigmund Freud was the founder of psychoanalysis, a groundbreaking framework for understanding the human mind and behavior. He emphasized the role of the unconscious, proposing that repressed desires and childhood experiences shape personality and mental health. Key concepts include the id, ego, and superego, which represent the instinctual, rational, and moral aspects of the psyche, and mechanisms like defense mechanisms and the Oedipus complex. Freud's work revolutionized psychology, influencing fields like therapy, literature, and cultural studies. Major works include The Interpretation of Dreams and Civilization and Its Discontents. Uranus symbolizes innovation, liberation, and awakening, driving individuality, originality, and sudden breakthroughs. It encourages freedom, rebellion, and progress, while its shadow includes unpredictability, rebellion for its own sake, and detachment.
Thank you. From a transpersonal perspective, both Hawkins and Freud were pioneers in their respective fields, each contributing to the collective understanding of the human condition. Whether through spiritual exploration, Hawkins, or psychological investigation, Freud, their work reflects the Piscean themes of transcendence, boundary dissolution, and the merging of the personal with the universal. In summary, Jupiter at 30 degrees Pisces in the charts of both Hawkins and Freud underscores their roles as key figures in the expansion of human consciousness, each in their own unique way. This placement speaks to their shared mission of exploring the deeper dimensions of human experience and bringing that knowledge to the collective, ultimately contributing to the evolution of human understanding. And these guys are on our team.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is on our team here? So what I've done here is locate those individuals who have Sun at zero Aries or near zero Aries or within the hot zone, let's put it that way. And in order to explore that, we're going to move to a little different mode. Which is this. We'll start with Mr. Steve Bruce, who
I know
has
that guy. I think I know that.
Sun exactly conjunct 30 degrees Pisces, and just a couple of degrees away is your Mercury. So these are totally in resonance. I mean, and bodes well for your role as an artist and communicator and so on. So, and what are the chances that here I am? I'm curious about this realm, and over the years, and then start to buckle down as we get close to zero Aries. And there's Steve with his Sun right on that degree. I mean, it's, again, part of the magic and mystery factor. So good to know you, sir.
Thank you.
And loving your creations. And in the bottom left-hand corner, we have for a while there, you were doing the graphics after our meeting.
Hmm.
And what did you call it? The five whale oracle, I think it was.
Right.
Yeah, that was a fun little exploration. It makes me think in terms of our gathering, our group as we gather, it becomes a chalice. The fact of our gathering together like this, it's providing an opening, not only for ourselves but for others as well, into these deeper realms of consciousness that Freud and Hawkins are calling us to.
Yeah, there's the different aspects. There's the inner child, the clown. Well, I've got my 1008 Buddha project, which Dwayne participated in. That's how we really connected with the like the lunation birth when you suggested the book by Rudhyar about the moon cycles. And then I painted that panel for the 1008 Buddha project. That's how we reconnected again when
Right on. And you were
through
down
that.
south.
It was a worldwide project for people to send Buddhas. And there were 81 different artists from 11 different countries sent them. And we made it to 1008.
That's fantastic.
Dwayne contributed. It arrived in the mail and they all meditated together on the cave wall.
Well, isn't that some of them behind you on the wall?
Yeah.
That's from the project.
Yeah.
So how many panels like that did you put together?
36.
36. I mean, what an awesome contribution to world artistry.
So you can see the 28. There's 28 paintings in a panel, which is the moon cycle. So it fit perfectly for put the moon cycle on.
That's so great.
And then we got to 1008. And the last painting, we talk about Janus and the change. The last painting it jumps from the 6x6 and the space is empty. And suddenly it jumps up to a 24x24 Buddha. And so that denotes change from there on.
And where are those paintings now?
Pardon me?
Where are those paintings now?
Well, some of the panels are here. Some are with friends. Some have been regifted by friends. And there was about 9 panels that were dispersed in Austin out into the world.
Beautiful.
They meditated on the wall for 2 years together. And then it was time to travel out into the world. So it dispersed and they're out there. And it was like, yeah, it was a really fun project. It was about, it wasn't like a judged painting. Just do your painting, send it along, and that's what matters. And all that was required was a small Buddha and a circle. And yeah, people sent them from all over the world. It was really fun. And you can find it on Facebook. It's a 1008 Buddha project. And all the paintings are listed there.
Nice.
And then my monkey artist and trickster temple is my birth temple. And that's how I first met Dwayne, was receiving that temple at one of his gatherings. And I ventured out with that temple, and then I met Sophia. We went her in. I was talking about her inner child. She really valued that. She really valued that book of David Hawkins as well.
Yes.
Map of Consciousness. She loved it.
Yeah.
And yeah, we went to clown college together.
Where was that?
That was in Calgary.
Ah,
I mean, it was like an 8-week course.
yeah.
It was done with I forget her name, but she was really big in Calgary. And our final exam was to be in the Stampede Parade. And I found out that they're not clown friendly. Only if you're a rodeo clown. But if you're just having fun, they wanted us to get off. They allowed us to go before the parade as pre-parade. And my rebel kicked in. The guy lassoed me from a horse like I was cattle. And then they said, oh, you got to get off the parade route. So I just ran across through a side street to the other direction the parade would be coming down, and I started playing over there on the parade route. And then the police on their motorcycles showed up and demanded I get off the street. But it was quite an experience clowning in the parade, and the parade was fine. And at the end of the parade, I was in a park at the end, and I was waiting for Sophia. She had hopped onto a float and was waving her wand, of her star wand. And so I was waiting for her to finish the parade. And in the meantime, I was standing there in the park, and I just felt this energy, and it was a mother and her, seemed like an 11-year-old boy. And he was challenged in some way, but he just ran all of a sudden over to me and just gave me a big hug. And in essence, I was just being. I wasn't performing anything. And it just really touched me. That was the highlight of the parade. It was just being there as a clown, and it just just brought comfort to that child. That was worth the exercise. So
Beautiful.
yeah, so it's the power of fun and the inner child and taking that out into the world. So that's what's happening around this the gazing sphinx.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Now, some of you might know of Swami Radha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh, jeez.
Joanne has spent time in retreat at Yashodhara Ashram, which is Swami Radha's location out in Nelson, near Nelson.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
Her sun is there. Wow.
what's that?
Her sun is at 29 degree.
Yes. So right sitting on your doorstep.
Yep.
And she's
I
got
spent I spent Y2K there,
oh wow.
and it was I just it was like my first kind of silent retreat, and inside I don't know if that one burnt down, and they built another one, temple.
Yeah.
But it was across the lake where Sophia owned a property, and yeah, we went there for Y2K to get away from, being stuck in an elevator or something.
Right. Good choosing.
So I was there, and I remember we laughed at this. They had the harmonium, and it was just the acoustics in that temple were just beautiful.
Yes.
And they were singing, and they're singing, and I'm listening. I go, oh, okay, I think I can sing along with this. So I'm singing away, and I'm singing, hurry home, hurry home, hurry home. And then I felt it was off a little bit. And then I realized they were singing Hurry Home. And I was singing Hurry Home. I obviously wanted to get out of there, I think. In the silent retreat, it just brought a chuckle to me that takes a while to tune in. So that was my experience at the ashram there. It was
Very cool.
pretty cool. But on the Y2K, we made those little boats and with candles and put them out into the lake.
Nice.
Floated out. Some only went about 2 feet and flipped over and sunk. Some went way out into the lake. It was fun. But yeah, that's the Hatha Yoga.
Yes.
Swami Radha.
And she has something to say about other yoga orientations. Let's have a listen.
Imagination plays such a large part in our lives that actually we rarely ever think how powerful imagination is and how it sometimes gets us in trouble because we have not been told that we should cultivate imagination. And uncultivated imagination creates a lot of fears, because if you look at your fears very carefully, you find very often that there is no real reason for you to have that much fear, but that your fantasies, your imagination, coupled with emotion, is giving you a real hard time. Yet on the other side, if we use our imagination creatively, we can achieve a lot of wonderful things, because everything begins in the mind. And imagination is part of the power of the mind. Now, in daily affairs where you feel unhappy, where you feel pain, you may not want to accept that most of your pain, by the same token, is self-created. Because if you can create an airplane, manifests. If you can build a house, if you can create a tanka, a painting, all this shows you there is a deep desire on the basis of imagination. And it is very hard to say in the human mind if there is a quick flick of imagination or emotions, which comes first, the hen or the egg. It's not easy to, that may also differ with the personal makeup of an individual and the intensity of desire. Sometimes a deep feeling of desire is there, but it takes time to really manifest itself in the imagination. That means to have an image in your mind of what your emotions have dictated. So that is very important to see. Now, fears, if you want to get rid of your fears, make a list, write them all down, and then look at them. There are certain fears, no doubt, they are justified. But many fears are overly exaggerated because you have heard about it, you read about it, and you have not cleared the mind. You see, we have more than one level of reality, and that is to be remembered. That is what you have to understand. Power as such is neutral. The power can express itself in love or in hate. The choice is yours. You can be go either way. You can become very ambitious, or you can become lazy, loving just your comfort. You can be very willful, stubborn, or you can direct that willfulness to the benefit of many other people. And of course, thereby also to your own benefit. So the choice is at all times ours. We can put quality into a work, or we can just do a lousy job. We will always find an explanation where we didn't do better. But deep within, we know also that this explanation is not necessarily valid. When we think about creativity, and we can create something that can elevate people, and we can create something that will bring out the worst in them. The influence of TV, for instance, movies, theater, opera, concerts, sound, all these are very powerful influences. People who just daydream have a very fertile imagination. But the problem with this is their daydreaming never ever really manifests in something. It can be something simple, a little embroidery, a nice setting in the house, nice table setting. It doesn't need to be something enormous, something that goes in art galleries or museums. It's not necessary. But whatever the daydreaming, the content is, it should manifest, otherwise it's useless. And it creates an illusion, a kind of a self-aggrandizement of the individual, thinking, I am somebody, but you have nothing to show for. So your imagination has been always active in whatever you do. Even if you cook an interesting dinner, you try to find out something new, something different. But by becoming acquainted with what imagination you right now have, how you can use it, you have to do a kind of brainstorming that exclude premature judgment. We had a workshop at the ashram at some time. Somebody was going to give a workshop on pottery. But at the time the day came, nobody showed up. I had no phone calls, I didn't know. By 10 o'clock, nobody was there. I have never done pottery in my life. But I know how to use my imagination and my own emotions, and I know how to direct this. I said, well, I live down in the lake. I made a little wall to protect my garden with all sorts of huge rocks. Live in the Rocky Mountains, you have an abundance of rocks of all shapes and forms. And I used some of the natural clay that we have there. And so I had the people together and said, what would you like to create? I'd like you to close your eyes and in your mind create what you think you would do if I give you some clay. So after this, they had all fantastic things. And of course, then I said, let's find the clay. Then I said, hold the clay in your hands, feel the clay. And now think once again with the help of your imagination, what do you want to do with the clay? When the conclusion comes, they couldn't do some large, big figure because it needs some support on the inside, but they didn't know where to get the support from. So finally, we came down to brass tacks. We did something very simple, and then somebody had an idea and said, but I could put this leaf in here. I could press that leaf into. So there was a nice little bowl with a couple of leaves and other things. But it was a beginning to understand that our imagination can run faster than we can walk. It does not mean that we can run to that part. We have just to retrace our steps and make the first step and exercise to go faster and faster by getting the tools and the facts together. How can we do that? See, you have to find out what you can implement in your first manifestation of your imagination and of your emotions. Maybe very crude, but let not false pride prevent you to make that first step. When lots of things you do, doesn't turn out right away, but with practice, with observation, you can improve, and it becomes better, and you get more inspiration, and you know how to use your imagination. You know where to harness it, and where you can let it give free run. Now, my objective is that you can become acquainted with yourself, accept yourself, shake hands with yourself and say, I start. Today, I begin. Where I will end, I don't know yet, but it doesn't matter because one step will lead to the next. And one time I may just take a big leap. Sometime I may just stand still and let inspiration saturate me. Sometime I may just sit and sing and look in the sky and think, now, if I would do this, well, how can I improve this or what? And sometimes I may not even think and be very still. And then there it is. Inspirations don't come with a very active, argumentative mind, where nothing is ever good enough, where you constantly sit in the seat of the judge, because you judge everything to bits and pieces. And you have no encouragement, no incentive even to try. The power of manifestation of your emotions and your imagination can be very positive. So if we are the creators of our own pain, then it's extremely important to look at imagination, to cultivate it, at our emotions, and to cultivate those too. We want often things so badly, recognition. And sometimes behind that recognition, even in our profession or in our work is more the need of being accepted and recognized as a truly full human being. But to that, we have to take various steps. We have to gain the courage to look at the facts, like the clay, Can I build something without any additional support, like a tower or person or whatever? Somebody standing could be even the preaching Buddha. No, it wouldn't. Because clay is then not the material that you need. Then you have to look for the material. That means you have also to look for the material that you have, your material, that is at hand for you right now. The quality of this material can be any time improved if you choose to do so. So, in other words, you are indeed the master of your destiny. Or not.
About wanting less, knowing I'm given what I need. Not testing in the process.
Looks like they were doing those pots on the Kootenai Lake.
Right on.
I think what I was tuning into was the Sabian symbol. It sounded like she was talking about how to harmonize the mind and the emotions and the spiritual. So it was resonating with harmony for me.
It's resonating with the fact that she was giving me guidance of what I've accomplished over this last little bit, and more of like I'm doing, everything that she's talking about, and if I continue to do so, I can create whatever I choose. Right? That's what I was getting from that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a beautiful place. I definitely want to visit this place. I didn't even know it existed. Yeah, I'm just enthralled with the structure of the building and just how peaceful and it looks there.
Yeah. Yeah, making conscious choices.
Steve, would you mind?
Sigmund Freud is often referred to as the father of psychoanalysis. His groundbreaking work focused on understanding the human psyche, particularly unconscious processes, and he laid the foundation for the field of psychoanalysis, which is a specific approach within psychiatry and psychology. The Jupiter core essence, expansion, growth, optimism, abundance, and faith. Freud had his natal Jupiter at Pisces 30. I see another quote down there. It's kind of half.
I got it.
The mind is like an iceberg. It floats with 1/7 of its bulk above water.
Now, he was one of the great minds of the 20th century. Sigmund Freud created an entirely new approach to understanding the human personality. He grew up in Austria, but spent the last year of his life living here in London, establishing a centre for psychoanalysis. Next month sees the republication of all his books. Wendy Hurrell has been to his former home in Hampstead, now the Freud Museum, London, to meet his great-grandson, Lord David Freud.
20 Maresfield Gardens in northwest London, the home of Sigmund Freud for the last year of his life. Now the Freud Museum. The rooms are just as he left them, and in his study, the famous couch upon which he treats his patients.
Sigmund Freud is known as being the founder of psychoanalysis. He was the one, more than anybody else, who really delved into the power of the unconscious mind. And he made it his life's work and legacy. But that's not all he's famous for. He is also the inventor of the talking cure, if you like.
That was also a new thing, the idea that if you talk to someone who was neurotic or mad, you might get some results rather than just locking them up and treating them, quite violently.
Freud would write at this desk, surrounded by his favourite antiquities.
He often compared the craft of the psychoanalyst to the work of the archaeologist. Both are engaged with chipping away, discovering, unearthing hidden truths and bringing them to the fore.
And it was here he completed his final books.
One of the reasons that he's so famous is that he was such a good writer. He writes really compellingly, and you pick up and you're dragged along as if you're reading a novel when you read his books.
Now, Freud's complete works, the first written 140 years ago, have been republished, perhaps signalling a renewed interest in the man.
How much of a celebrity was he when he came to London?
I mean, he was an international figure. It was the news of the day when he arrived. There was pictures everywhere. I think there were some crowds waiting to meet him as he came off the train.
The story of his escape from Nazi persecuted Austria, following the so-called Anschluss in the spring of 1938, that had been widely reported in the press. So by the time he got to London in June of that year, everybody knew that he was on his way. Everybody knew about his arrival.
Important people came to visit him here. Unclear whether that included the writer C.S. Lewis, though this is the basis of a fictional film out in June starring Anthony Hopkins.
What should I make of his running away beside for me?
You're also a fanatic about punctuality.
And this is the very couch from the film, a replica of the one downstairs here at the museum and acquired by Sigmund Freud's great-grandson David. This film is yet another to portray Freud on screen. And of course, his theories have influenced so many filmmakers, writers, and artists. He remains an intriguing figure in popular culture.
Wendy Hurrell, BBC London.
David Hawkins' work is a synthesis of psychology, spirituality, and consciousness studies. Through his map of consciousness and teachings on inner peace and truth, he has provided a framework for understanding personal and collective spiritual evolution. While some aspects of his methodology are controversial, his insights have inspired many to pursue self-awareness, love, and higher states of being. And as we noted, he has his natal Jupiter at Pisces 30, and nearby in Aries is his Uranus at 3 degrees of Aries.
In and of itself, the ego isn't going to give up any turf whatsoever. So the spiritually committed people in our society are influencing others by virtue of that which they have become. Not by proselytizing, not by preaching, but by that which they have become. In the presence of a more spiritually evolved person, it is quite difficult to be vulgar and violent and selfish. You start to feel uncomfortable about it. You felt okay with it on the street where it's the style. But as you start to present the same story to more spiritually evolved people, you see them change. At the girls' ranch, where I've been for 12 years, I'm going to have to resign from there. Do like a time, but we see hopeless, if another doctor can. So I've treated thousand teenagers. Highly resistant, savage backgrounds, brutality so extreme you say, this is not possible. This is not possible. And I won't even describe it here. The experiences are so grotesque, so extreme. You say, that's not even possible. I don't want to even hear their history. Social worker starts to tell me, this is their history. I said, I don't want to hear it. I just accept it's catastrophic. And how can anybody recover from that? How can anybody possibly recover from it? It went on for years. And how can they? Well, I'll tell you, they can't. PTSD is such savagery. You can't recover. There's no psychological technique. There's no medicine. There's no physical healing. You cannot. So how can you recover from it? Only by the miraculous. Yeah. Power of love. So, each month the girl comes in and you watch the transformation from ferociously angry, ferociously depressed, assaultive, suicidal. They cut on themselves all the time. They try to overdose, kill themselves. And you watch gradually the flower bloom. So you see that which is possible only by love. Only love could bring it out of that savagery and to become a beautiful person.
I resonated with the story he was telling. Kind of sounds like my story, addicted to drugs and alcohol, and I made the choice to change and, to better myself. And here I am, on this spiritual path of enlightenment, feeling wonderful with myself. So, yeah, that's, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into David Hawkins after this, for sure.
You are the flower.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I think of Freud and I think of the Buddha. Actually, the Buddha talks about how we're kind of covered in the mud and they were talking about chipping away, and that's doing the work to where suddenly it's the gold underneath, the golden Buddha. But it takes that effort and action, as we talked about earlier, to make that happen. And like David Hawkins, it just comes down to it's coming from love. That's what helps the mud to fall away.
And love for yourself is what I found for myself. Anyways, that's, I have love for people, but I mean, that love for myself is what's really bringing it forward for me. Anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, that chipping away, or all this area of psychoanalysis, or being willing to take a look at it, where so many people are just avoiding or denying or suffering and are willing or possibly incapable of looking at it, looking at the self. And allowing the mud to fall away. Let go.
Beautiful, beautifully said, Steve.
Anybody like to tackle the text here?
I can't move it enough to be able to read, so I apologize.
Yeah, your sound is actually breaking up somewhat. I don't know why.
I can't see it all.
I can't either.
Okay, it's kind of a summary of this notion that, or the realization they both have their Jupiters, or the same Jupiter, and that Hawkins has this Uranus factor. They both dive into the unconscious, emphasizing biological drives, internal conflicts, and therapeutic techniques. Da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, I see the oneness with the divine. And I was hearing, I forget where it came from, that with like the invention of the internet and our connections, I guess I can have my personal example of the Buddha Project when Facebook first came out, or when I first got on Facebook. It's not when they first came out. I started to use it. Facebook, it allowed to go out all across the world. Now you've got to pay to play. But at that time, Facebook wanted all these connections to happen. That's when the Buddha Project happened. And it's really, I don't know who was saying it, but with this internet connection, it's helped to create or show that there's the one mind. Oneness is available to us. Or it exists. That there's this consciousness out there. And so at one mind, I feel like that's where I feel like that's where Sophia is. She's out there. I can't see it. I don't know about it. She does. But she's all part of that one consciousness, as we all are. And so there's a lot of power there where you can choose, as Swami Radha was saying, we can choose to come from love or we can choose to come from hate. And I'm choosing love. And as Sophie would say, that's the end of my presentation.
Dane Rudhyar, 1895 to 1985, was a pioneering astrologer, philosopher, and composer who transformed modern astrology into a tool for psychological and spiritual growth. He introduced humanistic astrology, focusing on personal evolution and self-actualization, and emphasized the cyclical nature of life through his work on lunation cycles and planetary rhythms. His holistic approach integrated astrology with psychology, philosophy, and Eastern spirituality, making him a key figure in the development of astrology as a modern art of self-understanding. Well, Rudhyar had Sun at Aries 3 degrees. So in terms of this transition zone that we're in, his Sun at Aries 3 puts him out front as which is his nature, breaking trail and opening us up to new vistas of consciousness. And, so there's a bit of a video here about that.
Dane Rudhyar was a planetary artist, cosmic astrologer, modern composer, philosopher, painter, and esoteric initiate in the Western occult tradition. He made numerous and valuable contributions to human understanding in this time of planetary transition into a new global civilization and culture, the Age of Aquarius. Of Celtic and Norman ancestry, Rudhyar began playing piano at age 7 and started composing for the piano in 1912. He was often ill as a child, and when he was 13, he had a kidney removed, which would later exempt him from military service in 1914. His father died in 1911 when he was 16. That same year, he received his baccalaureate in philosophy and went on to study at the Paris Conservatory, where he wrote revolutionary articles about music and dance. At age 16, Rudhyar had 2 spontaneous realizations that would shape his entire life's work. First, he realized that time is cyclic, and cyclicity governs civilizations as well as all aspects of existence. And second, he realized that Western civilization is coming to the autumn phase of its cycle of existence. Such realizations changed his self-perception to that of a seed man seeking the new world. He gave up his birth name at the age of 17 after arriving in New York. Rudhyar put forth such ideas as that both the cultural art hall and the planetary art hall and the future of the species lay in a restoration of humanity as a work of art. He also pioneered the idea of the planetary consciousness based on the planetarization of consciousness. In this stage of evolution, consciousness would be fully realized as a planetary phenomena, the noosphere. He also recognized that there is a galactic dimension to astrology and consciousness. Rudhyar is a pioneer of transpersonal astrology and began using the term transpersonal in 1930, long before transpersonal psychology was coined. He put forth the notion that astrology is not essentially predictive, but rather productive of intuitive insights. Among those were Henry Miller, Leopold Stokowski, Anais Nin, Roberto Assagiolo, Jose Arguelles, and many others. Though most well known for his astrology, Rudhyar's real love was music, and he was greatly influenced by theosophy and Harry Bergson. He viewed composers and musicians as mediums and magicians. He introduced the phrase planetarization of consciousness in the 1920s and 30s. His most famous work were Astrology of Personality 1936 and The Planetarization of Consciousness 1971. He introduced archetypal concepts to astrology along with Mark Edmund Jones. They worked with the Sabian symbols, the 12 houses of the zodiac divided into 30 degrees each, or 360 symbols. According to Rudhyar, the basic function of humanity in the entire evolution of our planet is to provide the process of transition between a state of existence rooted in the biosphere and a superhuman state where conscious unanimity prevails. Rudhyar used astrology and other art forms to communicate his message of self-cultivation during the time of the Great Transition. He felt that humanity should all try to think, feel, and act in terms of a common new future which must be created together. He says, "There is a need for a new mind, a new way of thinking. There is need for the rise of new feelings detached from the exclusivistic values of our particular cultures and geared to the needs and aims of humanity as a whole, understood as a spiritual being within which we all have particular functions to perform. There is need to act with a sense of purpose, not a purpose dictated by ego desire, but the end purpose of our life as members of a global humanity. This end purpose is what Rudhyar calls participation of the pleroma." Rudhyar died peacefully on September 13, 1985 in San Francisco. José Argüelles witnessed his body, which he described to be in an ecstatic state.
So another exemplar shows up, Randall Carlson with his natal sun at Aries 6 degrees. And there's a bit of a connection back to our new moon gathering when we were talking a little bit about Freemasonry, the Masonic order. Well, Randall is a Mason, and he figures that the Masons have historically been contributors to the welfare of humanity, and that it continues to this day.
You got to get the truth out about these things, and that includes the truth about the Masonic order and what their real purpose has been. They have been undoubtedly a benevolent force in the history, and still are. Really annoys me to see them mischaracterized. They've been the purveyors of sacred geometry that people are getting into now. They have been the primary vehicle for preserving and just delivering that to our own times.
And that felt like some Aries energy.
Right on.
He's kind of fiery about that.
Quite fiery, yeah. And he is quite the, his geology is his specialty, and he's just got this incredibly vast awareness of, the whole geological history of humanity and beyond. And yeah, he's quite the guy. So we're right down to our 2-hour place.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Got one slide left. Oh. David Hawkins. The process of creativity and genius is inherent in human consciousness, as every human has within himself the same essence of consciousness, so is genius a potential that resides within everyone. It simply waits for the right circumstance to express itself. I look at this passage of Neptune into Aries as being a circumstance where people are being drawn into this larger collective vision, and we're moving into a whole new place in the evolution of human consciousness. We've all got a part to play. We've all got the potential for genius. And when conditions are right, click, on it comes. So self-understanding, self-awareness is so key to that. Honoring the integrity, honoring the gift that each one of us is.
Sounds like that consciousness is patient. It simply waits. But to express itself takes action, I think. Action.
So since David Hawkins is really resonating with me, does anybody have a starting point where I should start with David Hawkins?
I think there's a power in force. Yeah.
Sophia would recommend this one as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading his book, Letting Go, right now. And I would put that at number 2.
Letting go is a huge part of
Absolutely.
awakening. You know, like the things that you have to let go of, good or bad. That's major in my life, anyways. I believe for others as well.
Yep.
That's probably step number 1. Let it all go.
Well, you guys, final words? Or click that button.
Yes.
I just want to express my gratitude to the group. Thank you for having me. This has been eye-opening, enlightening, heartfelt. You guys are wonderful. I hope I'll probably stick this out and hang out with you guys weekly now until I start work back up again. But as long as everyone's okay with that, I'm getting a lot of positive vibes. It almost feels like therapy here, to be honest. In a way, it's really I really like it. So thank you, Dwayne, and all you guys who contribute. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're on board here.
Mm-hmm.
We're not weekly, but we're twice a month.
Oh yeah,
new moon.
Twice a month. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Sorry. We're moonly.
You're moonly. That's correct. I forgot about the moonly. I did draw down the 28 moon phases, the 108 Buddha project. It really resonated with me, Steve. I might even create my own, just because I don't know. It just feels like it's something I need to do. So anyway, I'm gonna look it up on Facebook and kind of dig into it a little bit. But
yeah, it helps to find your center of the canvas, and then work from your center with the circle and the Buddha. And I found it was just lots of insights.
Perfect.
And it's fun.
And it's therapy for me too. And when I hear letting go, it's like again and again and again letting go for me anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you, all of you, so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I have more letting go to do. It's a constant, and it's change, which I embrace change because that's a given. It's in everything. Everything changes. So yeah, thank you all for showing up. I won't be here next new moon. I have my granddaughter and daughter and husband coming to visit. So on that day, I want to spend with my family showing up here. So
Right on.
Where are they coming from?
from England.
Oh, nice. Oh, very nice.
Mhm. For a
Enjoy.
few precious days. So
Mhm.
that's where I will be.
Great.
Yeah, thank you, Dwayne, for exploring this area. I mean, it's very powerful. I really feel it. And lots to play with.
Yeah. To be continued.
Mhm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Barb,
Thank you.
okay, guys.
Yep.
Love you.
Love you
Love
guys.
you. Bye-bye.
See you next time.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay, bye.